The Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 regular business meeting of the Olympia City Council. For the record, we have a quorum with nearly all council members joining us. Councilmember Gilman should be joining us shortly. So with that, I need a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have an agenda. So our first item tonight is item 2A, which is a special recognition proclamation recognizing National Day of Racial Healing. And we will begin with a shared reading of the proclamation, beginning with Councilmember Cooper.
Whereas the City of Olympia affirms that all people, regardless of their racial, ethnic, and religious identification, their skin color, or their physical traits, deserve equal opportunity to experience well-being in a just society and to be full participants in our democracy. And
whereas the City of Olympia acknowledges that we must work to address the historic and present-day harms of racism, dismantle the systems that perpetuate racial, ethnic, and religious bias, and heal the wounds created by those harms. And whereas, just like those who came before us, it is our duty to protect the children of this country and maintain communities in which they may all be given the opportunity to succeed. And
whereas the City of Olympia understands and recognizes that there is a racial divide in our country, and we must all work earnestly to heal the wounds created by racial, ethnic, and religious bias and build on an equitable and just society so that all children can thrive. And whereas children have the right to be provided every opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive in nurturing environments that don't violate their safety, dignity, and humanity. And
whereas every person has the capability to make a simple change within themselves that can have a profound effect on an entire society. And whereas if we all dedicate ourselves to the principles of truth, racial healing, and transformation, we can bring about the necessary changes in thinking and behavior that will propel this great country forward as unified force where racial bias will become a thing of the past. And
whereas racial healing is a vital and crucial commitment to the education, social, mental, and overall well-being of all of our children. And
now, therefore, be it resolved that the Olympia City Council, the City of Olympia, in conjunction with others throughout the United States of America, proclaims Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, as the National Day of Racial Healing in the City of Olympia, and urges the community to promote racial healing, transformation both individually and collectively, as a means to working together to ensure the best quality of life for every child. Signed in the City of Olympia, Washington, this 21st day of January 2025, Olympia City Council, Dante Payne, Mayor. And now I'd like to turn it over to Keisha Likely, the Executive Director of Community Engagement at the South Sound YMCA, who is here to accept the proclamation and say a few words tonight. Keisha.
Thank you so much, Mayor Payne and City Council, for recognizing this day. I do have a few words, and I do apologize in advance for my voice. A little virus tried to get me over the weekend, but we are here still on the mend. So thank you all again. I truly love being here tonight and accepting this proclamation. Thank you, City Council, for doing this for the second year in a row. 2022 was the first time, and this is the second time we are recognizing this day so deeply entrusted into our community. I want to just start off with a quote from one of our big hitters, Dr. Thelma Jackson, definitely a pillar, advocate, and leader in our community, where she commonly says that equity isn't something you talk about in isolation, it's something you live, reflect, and commit to every single day. Her words resonate deeply because they remind us that healing and equity are not abstract ideals. They're a call to action for each of us to examine how we show up in our homes, workplaces, schools, and just one on one personally. At the South Sound YMCA, we understand that our role extends beyond our walls in our facilities. It's about building bridges across all parts of our community, creating spaces no matter for people, no matter who they are or where they come from. But the YMCA cannot do this alone. City Council cannot do this alone. And our DEI social justice committees cannot do this alone. Healing is a shared journey. It requires each of us to meet one another at the table, to listen with humility, and to commit to lifting equity at every door in every indoor facility or operation. This proclamation is more than just recognition, it's an invitation for us all to examine ourselves. How are we advancing equity in our daily lives? How are we creating environments that value every voice, especially those historically marginalized? Healing starts when we stop moving through life on autopilot and begin to see each other, really see each other for who we are and the contributions we've all made to our community. Dr. Jackson also says other prevailing things like healing doesn't happen overnight, but every step counts when it's rooted in authenticity and care. This work takes time, it takes patience, and most importantly, proximity. It is only by coming together through collaborative efforts like this proclamation and beyond that we can begin to repair the harm of the past and shape the future. As we reflect on this day, let it be a reminder that healing requires action. It's a commitment to show up for one another, to learn from one another, and to build more inclusive futures for all of us. This week, in attachment to this proclamation, we're having another connection space uh, in support of our community in the isolation and uplifting every person and every voice. The space is going to be titled The Art of Connection, Building Cultures Through Creative Outlets and Expressions. It will happen this Thursday at SPSCC in collaborations with their DEI department and director in Building 27. So if you have the time, please look out for that. But again, thank you, City Council, and thank you, Mayor Payne.
Thank you, Keisha. Thank you so much for all the work that you do, um, particularly for our community and for our youth. And thank you for being here tonight to accept the proclamation. Any comments from council? Seeing none. Don't forget there's the raise your hand function. This is like, it's taking us back to like 2020, 2021. Okay, seeing none. Keisha, I will just say, I think that this day after the celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day is just so appropriate. It reminds us um, that this work is not just about recognizing it on a single day, right? But also it's that reminder that immediately the day after we go into the work and we continue that all year long. So thank you so much. And again, hope to meet you in person sometime soon. Thank you. Good night. Okay. So that concludes special recognition for the evening. We will move on to public comment. I do not believe we have anyone signed up for public comment, either in advance or online, nor in person. But if I could just have Kelly Percy-Brasseth, our Strategic Communications Director, who I believe is present in chambers, if you could just verify that no one is present for public comment. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. All right. So we will move on to the adoption of the consent calendar. But before we do, any questions, comments, or polls on the consent calendar? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor of adopting the consent calendar as published signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent calendar is adopted. Okay, so we do not have any other business on our agenda this evening, so we'll move on and go right to council reports. I'll begin with a brief mayor's report and just share that I am coming off a very long tour, a mini tour, if you will, of Martin Luther King Jr. Day speeches and events. And I just have to say, I feel so encouraged and uplifted by our community. And I feel very, very lucky to live in Olympia, where we're surrounded by people that just really, really understand the moment that we're in, understand what's at stake, and understand the importance of lifting one another up, seeing each other, hearing each other, and really just taking care of our own and the people around us. And I really, really just felt encouraged by that, especially from our young people. I was able to speak to students at Olympia High School, Go Bears, and it was wonderful to meet with them. Capital, love you too. um, Yes, I really enjoyed that time with them, and just thanks to SPSCC as well as New Life Baptist Church for also hosting their own Martin Luther King Jr. events this weekend. I will just mention that later this week we will have our annual council retreat beginning this Friday at noon in the council chambers. And we will continue our retreat on the following day, beginning at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. And we will conclude somewhere around 4:30 on Saturday afternoon. So looking forward to pulling up our sleeves and getting to work at the council retreat with you all. So with that, I'll start with Councilmember Madrone, trying to think of who's in line on the dais.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Councilmember Vanderpool.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilman has not joined us yet. Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Councilmember Green.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Councilmember Cooper.
I feel like I should filibuster so you don't beat my record at left meetings for a length of a meeting. I'm just kidding. Nothing to report. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Well, before we adjourn, I will just mention it looks like there isn't a long enough meeting for Councilmember Gilman to join us. So we will just go ahead and say that he has been excused for this evening. So with no further business before the Olympia City Council, we're adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm skipping the City Manager Bernie.
It's totally fine. I'm going to break your streak of no reports. I'm going to make mine quick.
Okay.
You mentioned the retreat coming up this weekend. Just this afternoon, you've got a packet of materials from Susan, which is retreat prep materials. There's documents for you to review, an exercise for you to do in advance. And then you'll have two more presentations coming your way tomorrow. We're just fine tuning the last couple of presentations to make sure they're complete. And they're coming your way tomorrow, so you'll have a lot of stuff to review and some homework in advance of the retreat. So just wanted to highlight that for you. And that is it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Jay, and thanks to staff for sending us all those materials ahead of time so we can take a look at them before we get started on Friday. All right. Now, with no further business before the Olympia City Council, we're adjourned. Good night, everybody.